This episode of the Golf Guru Show is brought to you by InVeedHemp.com. As golfers, you know the game creates wear and tear on your body and mind. InVeed CBD products can organically rejuvenate you. They come in 3 varieties: Relief, Clarity, and Relax. Relief CBD products help relieve pain. Clarity allows you to focus on those critical shots. And Relax CBD products are for those anxious golf moments. Right now, I've got an incredible special for you. Go to InVeedHemp.com and use the promo code GURU20 for a 20% discount for life.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
You know how to cut to the core of me, Baxter. You're so wise. You're like a miniature Buddha covered in hair.
I want to become a guru so girls will like me. Then I will like myself.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1, no touching of the hair or face.
Of course.
And that's it. Now let's do this.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed part 1 of this amazing interview with my friend Rob Stocke. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, make sure you do, and then pop this one back in. This one gets even better as the wine continues to flow, as you can tell, as we go deeper into Rob's career. And he then flips the mic on me, and we talk about my son Nicholas, our evolution and decision to go one-handed chipping, and then how it felt as a parent and as a coach watching him win his first college event last fall. With many, many more stories and great info from my guy, Rob Stocke. So sit back, have a glass of wine, and enjoy the second part with the most interesting man in golf instruction, Rob Stocke. All right, so before we bring you to Hilton Head in your career, let's talk about cancer.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So I know, briefly.
Right.
Right, because I think it's important.
It is. It is important for people.
So talk about where you are. We talked about it briefly before we recorded, and I think it's I thought it was very interesting for you to be open with it, and you said it was okay.
Right, yeah, I'm totally good.
Tell the
with
story,
it.
please.
So when I moved to Hilton Head, I needed a doctor, and I said, I'm just going to get a doctor and get a physical, and he noticed something was up and said, look, let's retest your PSA in a few weeks. We did. Still wasn't good, so he said, let's see a urologist, and then he said, let's do an MRI, then let's do a biopsy. And, we were joking about this before, right? Like, Jason's big thing is, IQ, EQ, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, man, cancer doctors, they don't have EQ. Like, I walk in, this is over Christmas. We're waiting on the results. Do you have cancer? Do you not have cancer? And we walk in and he's like, we're here to talk about your biopsy. You have cancer.
Yeah. It's not like your posture's good.
Right, yeah, dude. Yeah, like a beginner, you go, oh, man, you whiffed it, but you know what? I love how you pivoted and your tempo was good. And I'm like going, dude, bro, like, tell me I got a good head of hair. Something like a little foreplay, right?
Right to the facts.
Right at it. And that's what they do. And fortunately for me,
so type of cancer
I have prostate cancer.
Yeah.
It's very unaggressive. It's in a good spot. It's not a threat to my life at this point. We're doing active surveillance, so I get tested every 3 months, then MRI every 6 months, biopsy every year. Biopsies suck. That's not a fun thing. That's not, it's kind of brutal.
Right.
The rest of it isn't bad, but I'm like, look, if technology, I look at golf instruction, and where we are technology wise. I look at a cell phone, where we are technology wise. If something better is going to come along in 5 years and I can live with doing this every 3 months, in 5 years, there may be something better that is doable. And that's kind of where I live with it. It doesn't bother me. I'm not in any way, shape, or form uncomfortable talking about it with people.
Yeah.
It's,
I appreciate that.
To me, it's like, look, the biggest thing I tell people is get a physical, because If I hadn't, it could be worse. It could be a bad situation. I just happened to, just because I moved and didn't have a doctor. And, it's a real deal. I mean, a lot of our members have dealt with it, so I've got a lot of great resources who talk to me and say, yeah, man, I did the surgery, I had these side effects, or I didn't do this, or I did radiation or whatever. And my path's pretty clear. It doesn't keep me up at night, so I'm one of those people that, whatever, it's fine, and, from all, if we want to talk about cancer as a whole, I mean, we need to put that on the level of the COVID and find the cure.
Yeah.
I mean, there needs, most of my family has died from cancer. We need to, that needs to be cured.
I was going to say, how much did your dad's situation
Right.
affect the way your decision
That was
happened?
tough. Yeah. I mean, I was just like, look, you find, he had pancreatic. When you find it, it's usually too late. And I was just like, went in there and said, hey, look, this is in my history. I want to know. I mean, I'll come in here every week if you need to check me, you know? And, I just think that, you see the things, I mean, the ribbons and stuff like that, but I just think so many people, I don't know anybody that hasn't been affected by it. I mean, I don't know anybody that could say, oh, you know what? Nobody in my family's ever had cancer. Like, what can we do? So we did a thing, we did a short game clinic earlier this year, and all the proceeds went to Cancer Society. It was just, look, and that's not going to change anything. I mean, the whatever $2,000 we sent in isn't going to do shit. But it needs to be an awareness. It's, I mean,
Every little bit helps, I think.
yeah,
for
right.
Sure,
Yeah, but it's a life changer. I mean, it hit me, and I remember it was right before the show, PGA show in 2020, which I went down to the show, and everybody's coming up to me like, "Oh man, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Good." 3 weeks later, or 5 weeks later, whatever, the world's changed. Right, all of a sudden, COVID hit. I mean, so it took a back seat.
A lot of people are dying, and you're like, it's not as bad as So you get the lowest form of
I do
probably.
It's
you could
it's pretty
think about
low.
consciously. Because everybody thinks, you think of that. And when I first, we met and we talked,
Yep.
I was like, I was worried about you, but I was
Right.
afraid to kind of bring it up.
Yeah, and that's the thing I don't want. I want people to be open about it. I've told all my friends who are in their late 40s, like, just go get a physical. Don't think that you have to be a certain day or age. Just do it, man. Just go get it. Check it. It's not, PSA is not reliable, whatever, but I know what I'm dealing with, and that's not going to kill me.
Gotcha.
I mean,
That's okay.
I do enough shit to myself. I'll
no.
take care of it another way.
I get
But
it.
no, it's
Let's talk about teaching, man.
yeah. Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So you moved to talk about the move to Hilton Head, to Long Cove,
Yeah, so that was, it was a weird deal.
because you went to White Columns, right?
I did.
There was
yes.
there was a step we missed.
Yes. So, golf club was a phenomenal, like, that was as good as it gets job for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best staff, the best membership. It was the best facility. And I'm like, okay, my goal was I want them to put a statue here when I retire. Like, I'd made, there was no instruction program. I'd made that, and it was fabulous.
Right.
And then the club was sold, and, I stuck around. A lot of people got let go, and I stuck around, and ownership, I think, liked me enough and knew I was doing a good job and knew I was popular. And then they were just like, hey, look, you're doing your thing and probably doesn't need to be here. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, owners can do whatever they want. I'm not going to, go down that road. So fortunately, the night before my last day, it was a Thursday night. Christy and I always had a deal that we'd go to our local watering hole across the street on Thursday night and have wings and do bingo. That was our Thursday night. And I'm sitting there, and I'm knowing that tomorrow I'm out of work for the first time really in my life. And it's right before Christmas, and we told the boys, I knew I was going to be out of work. And I get a text from a buddy of mine from the PGA, and he's like, I heard you're leaving. I'm like, yeah. He's like, where are you going? I'm like, bro, I got no plans. I don't know. He's like, come to White Columns tomorrow and meet me. And
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't really have anything. Doesn't matter. So I go, and he gave me the job, and it was
Wow.
It was a gift from God. I mean, it was truly
Unbelievable.
It's truly like prayers, and like I was unemployed and went into a situation, and it, there's another instructor there who'd been there a long time, Cody Barton, who's a good friend of mine, and Cody was kind of transitioning into his own thing, and he was supportive of it. And I went in there, and this used to be a sister club to Golf Club of Georgia, so it's close, and I could bring my juniors over and all that. And man, it was awesome. Like you go from your low, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna be out of a job tomorrow, and I'm sitting here going, look, I'm not Butch Harmon, but I have enough, but
you had a reputation
that I could get a job, but there's nothing open,
right?
And to just like literally 24 hours before I'm out of work to get a really good job, and I pumped into it. I was like, okay, we're making this, and man, we started.
You did some incredible programming.
I did,
right? And I wanted to talk about that. I want to talk about that in Long Cove as well. But
yes,
talk about the programming you did at White Columns.
Yeah,
because I think it would really help a lot of coaches out there.
I agree. I think so. There's two things that I did that I utilized. One was I was the first person in Georgia to use Op 36, which at that time they were in their infancy. They'd done couple programs, kind of in North Carolina, and those guys well.
I was the first guy.
You were, yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Why wouldn't you be, right? Because it's gold.
So good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And they were like, and so I said, this is going to be great. So I called them, and I'm like, okay, this is perfect. And I was already doing a program called USA Junior Program, which was more elite kids, right? Mm-hmm. And man, we did monthly programs. And we had so many kids. I mean, and it was fun. Like, I'd be sitting there like going, okay, here's a range net. Let's put a pool on the other side of the range net, and let's see who can flop it over the range net and land it in the pool and do that. And we were having practices weekly, and we were making kids. They were getting good, and they loved it. And I'm telling you, Op 36, that program is beyond
so good.
It's it's so much better now. And
Matt and Ryan have they're
unbelievable.
up.
They're unbelievable.
But they've done the work. I mean, it's amazing.
They put some hours into it.
Yeah.
And that program was a game changer for my juniors, for like the middle school to elementary. I mean, we were packing classes. Unfortunately, I don't really do it at Long Cove, simply just from the age standpoint. And I've tried it with some ladies, but if you're 75 and you're a beginner, you're not getting on an app. It's just a little difficult.
Yeah, we're doing it with adults, but it's a little different.
It is
a different vibe. But.
And the U.S. Junior program, there's a guy named Tom Ralph who I got involved with, and that was the first like full on like, okay, we're going to do a monthly, and we're going to have these small groups and elite juniors. And I was pumping kids into college, like. My learning center there was, when you walked in, the wall was just pictures of kids on signing day. And it was, so a kid would come in and go, hey, I've heard your name. And I would always ask, I mean, I don't know how you do it, but if a kid called me and said, or a parent called, I want my kid to maybe work with you. I'm like, come in, spend an hour or two with me. If you like it, go home, talk about it. And if it's good, we'll set up something. Mm-hmm. I mean, they may not dig it. They may, they may not like me.
That's right.
And you know what? That's fine. Okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So, but they'd walk in and they'd see all these college commits, and I'm like, look, this kid didn't make his high school team his sophomore year, but here's where he signed. And it really wasn't me. It was just a program that I allowed them to see improvement and get better, right? But man, Op 36 and US Junior, man, that was the gold mine of my career right there. Those guys really did. They set up a framework that If I was going into a club right now to teach and you didn't have Op 36, you have missed the boat.
Yeah.
Like
Agreed.
you haven't even missed the boat. You're on the wrong coast. Like it's so easy,
Yeah.
and the things that the parents can see and all that, and it was genius, and it just fits so well. And I had a hard time selling it on some of the guys in the shop. They didn't kind of buy into it, and I was like, look, this is.
I thought that was the best part about it, because you could insert any instructor in there.
Oh, you could walk in. Yeah, it's
right.
Here it is.
There's the
whiteboard up.
There's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah, I actually met with Matt and Ryan before it was even finished.
Yeah.
At the PGA show that year, and
they're geniuses.
We adopted it into Carmel, and I'm just like excited to see what they've done.
It was so good.
So good.
And it's gotten so much better. I mean,
yeah, they keep improving it. These guys are great.
You go, okay, here's the game for the day. Put everything on the whiteboard. I mean,
yeah. From
a standpoint of structuring a long-term coaching program, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, you've hit every check mark, and we killed it. I mean, we just killed it with it. It was awesome.
Yeah. So what brought you to Long Cove? And then let's talk about some teaching stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some technique and whatever you want to talk about.
I was not looking to move.
Our paths,
right? It's so similar.
Right? So similar is more than we talk.
You're right.
It's really, it's kind of creepy, actually.
Yeah, it is. I'm in a big market, right? Atlanta, which I would call a major market.
Charlotte.
Yeah. And had been, big name clubs doing all this. I've got everything I want. I'm booked out months in advance, and I've got the juniors and all this. And the Long Cove thing popped up, and so I threw my name in and told nobody except for my wife. That was it. And my deal was, worst case scenario, I get offered the job. Then I have to make a decision, and I'm not a decision maker. I don't make a decision on anything. Okay, so in the process drew out. Like, I wouldn't hear anything, and then 8 weeks later, hey, we're gonna do a phone. Okay, whatever. So I come down here for the interview. Okay, and I drive down, and I'm not going to name names, but I was sitting at a restaurant in Hilton Head, and across the bar, I see another guy who's interviewing for it. It's very obvious. Okay. I mean, I know him. He's another instructor, and he's golf pro'd out, and I'm in my Van Halen t-shirt and a backwards Falcons cap, and I'm just like, all right, look, I know we're here for the same. Nobody's here on the 4th of July for one night, right? And I think, to me, I went in okay, I'm not coming after this. I'm coming in more interviewing them, maybe, right? Wouldn't that be kind of how you were with Colleton?
100%.
Is this going to be the deal for me? I mean, I don't have to leave.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
But the funny thing was, so I'm getting ready to leave, and Bob, my boss, said, I'm getting ready to hire Donna, who was the merchandiser with me for 15 years at Golf Club. And I'm like, oh, man, Donna's the best, blah, blah. And he goes, Rob, a lot of people save 51 weeks a year to spend 1 week on Hilton Head. I'll pay you 52. I was like, oh, shit. I mean, I'm the guy who's been vacationing here, right?
Me too, yeah. Fripp Island.
Right.
We come here. We've been.
So
it's crazy, right?
So I'm walking to my car, and I text Donna, who's a super close friend. I'm like, I heard you might be moving to the island. She's like, nobody knows. How do you know that? I'm like, I just interviewed. And so she ended up getting the job. Mine drug out a little bit. And then at her going away party is when I announced. And I had a board of us, where we were all the professional staff and all that. And everybody found out. But, yeah, so it was, and it's a culture change. I mean.
It is.
No doubt. When I was at White Columns, when I was at Golf Club, I mean, I was teaching really elite players, kids that majority at White Columns. I mean, I think 90% of my student base was kids who wanted to play collegiate golf. That was our focus.
Yeah.
That's not my focus here. I mean, you know,
How many of those kids have followed you down?
A few.
A few, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I do,
Same with me.
I do
Had a
coach
couple.
now. I mean, I got some that'll be, hey, I'm going to be
Yeah.
on spring break,
It's
or
just
they'll
tough,
send me a
right?
coach.
It's tough
Yeah,
for
I
the,
mean, they
the
need
times.
something then, and
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean,
Yeah,
that's good.
I get it too.
Totally good with it. They need what they need, and I felt a big letdown when I called in my group of kids, the U.S. Junior and Op 36, and they sat down and I said, look, I'm going to tell you guys, and I'm leaving, and that was not easy. They were upset. Kids are crying, and I said, man, look, it's not, but you have to look. Old Cheap Trick song. You have to look out for number one. Okay, you have to know that the writing's on the wall, and there's something that so.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I remember when I left Carmel. I mean, so many people, and I've had a few follow me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. It's like you can't to get good. You have to have frequent coaching.
You do, yeah.
You know,
need
and
that.
you can't, I mean, I don't care how good you are. Like you're going to be replaced. And I've sort of come to grips with that because I've lost some kids and I've lost some really good players that I've.
And you lose some that you kind of. And look, we didn't make anybody, right? But we helped develop them.
Absolutely.
Right? Like if you get a kid at 12 and you coach them through high school and they go to college and they're a good player, you feel a little part of like, wow, man, Dude,
you don't even know. Like I had a kid I taught at 6, 7.
Wow.
And he's 13 now, top 5 in the world that just left me.
Yeah.
So, and I get it. And his parents are great. I mean, it's like,
right,
it's like
but you're just not. You're not there.
I'm not there. Yeah,
you're not the one he can walk to the back of the range
right.
and ask something. And,
right, and it
but you
hurts.
had a hand in that, and
yeah.
It's not swing mechanics, right? It's the mentoring. It's the
right.
The kid coming back there, and you're going, hey, you got a break and hey. Let's hit flop shots. Let's see who can hit over this, or let's see who can hit this little shot. And those little things that they go, oh man, this guy's great. And
you don't know, right? It's like,
you don't know.
It's a relationship,
right? It is, and
that's the hard part.
That's the part that hurt. And I still keep in touch with a lot of those kids, and they're having great success. They've come under the tutelage of other good instructors, and that's awesome. But it was hard. It was I mean, if you like teaching juniors and developing players, I was in a great spot.
Yeah, no doubt.
But timing wise, this was the move, and it had to be.
Yeah, I think it's another chapter.
It is
in our lives, right?
Yeah,
and we wouldn't have got together,
right?
Probably
right.
this soon, anyways. Eventually, we would have met.
Yeah, of course.
So, let's talk about teaching. Like, I mean, what have you learned? I mean, I know you've done a lot of certifications and education in the last 5 to 10 years. Like, talk about some of the things that have molded your philosophy now, and like, what do you believe in? Like, if we're talking full swing, right? Just give me some, like, throw out anything that comes to mind as far as what do you think needs to happen,
right?
And we can go tour, we can go juniors, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, coming from a background where it was a 9-hole course, right? Not a range. It was about getting in the hole, right? And I'm a wedge junkie. Like, you can hand me the most player improvement iron on the planet, I don't care. But if you hand me a wedge, it's got to look right, it's got to feel right, got to sound right. And I think people don't get that. I don't think people.
So would you say that's your niche? So
yeah,
like teaching wedges.
Yeah, I love it.
So let's dig into that, right? So like, I'm a big Ridyard guy.
Okay.
So I've got that background. I don't know if you know anything about what he teaches.
I do. Yeah.
So talk to me about what you believe. Like, say you're giving a golf lesson to. It could be any level.
Right.
Like, what do you think needs to happen with the club, the body, the hands, arms, whatever?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Give me some details. Like they want to know application.
Right? I get more into how the club works, right?
How do you think it should work?
Okay, there's a bounce, right? And if you can apply the bounce properly, you can control trajectory, and therefore you can control spin. So most people don't understand that, and they're just trying to hit it like, oh, I'm trying to chop this thing down, and it's not working. So I go back to a lot of the writing stuff, and how does the club work? Using the soul of the club. I'm like I said, big believer in bounce. Like using that to control the loft of the club, dynamic loft. And
okay, so how does that control, like, dig deeper than that? Like, how does that control the loft of the club? Let's say if I throw the bounce into it and my handle's like 6 degrees leaning backwards.
Right. Well, it shouldn't be. It
understand
should be,
I'm just saying, like talk a little bit more
Right.
about specifics.
So I like to show them, here's the way the club's built, right? And if the sole of the club's on the ground right here, it's 60 degrees, right? If you lean the shaft, I don't know, is it 50? Is it 40? I don't know. Right?
Yeah, what are the good players delivering into the
Right.
ball?
I don't know.
When they hit it.
So learning to, I always tell them, try to make the divot with the back edge of the club.
Okay.
That and I'm not talking tour players here. I'm talking
Yeah.
make the divot with the back edge. Okay, the bounce is going to save you, and you're going to have some loft, and then you can understand, and then you can get some speed. But I just, I think if you take the average player and you go, tell me about your game, and they go, well, I need to hit it 10 yards farther, and my 7-iron doesn't go far. Well, how are you from 30 yards? Oh, I'm good. Okay, well, let's hit 10 shots from 30 yards. And they chunk 2, blade 2, they shank 1, one's good. I'm like, we can move you up as far as you want. You're still going to suck from fucking 30 yards.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
let's learn this, right? Let's learn how a body pivot and the arms. I don't have a method. I do have a method for different players. Like, if somebody's really wristy, I will try to teach him no wrist, like a long hip-high putting stroke. If they can handle using some wrist, then they can do that. But I'm like, learn how to pitch it.
What do you like as far as sequence goes in, like, the downstroke?
I mean,
for pitching.
I like them. Well, I like it to go and then upper body slow down, let the handle come past. But I don't always teach that.
Say that again.
So, I like it if when they're coming down, the first thing to shut down is the upper body. That shuts down, then the arms and hands release a little bit. But I'm never going to tell them that.
Okay.
So
what are some of your, like, buzzwords, like when you're giving a lesson to an average golfer at the club?
Shit.
Like,
Okay.
what do you tell them?
Okay, well, I'm gonna throw this a little bit on you.
Okay? Yeah, sure.
So, and I don't know how many of your guys know that your son, who's a collegiate tournament winner, correct? Chips one-handed.
Yep.
Right? Right hand only.
Yes.
And so 8 or 9 years ago, I broke my left wrist. I'm left-handed. So I would play a game with all my students, and these are good juniors and everything. They got 2 chips, I got 1. They chipped both hand, I chipped right hand only. And it was easy for me because I've always been a good enough wedge player. And I think that's such a secret, right? Like, if you can do it with that, the left hand is only support. But so many people are trying to take that left hand and pull. I'm sorry. Totally bad on this lead hand. Right?
Yeah,
Not
for a
left
right-handed
hand.
golfer.
Right, yeah. I'm not
No, we
being,
get it.
I'm not being politically
No, you're
correct.
good.
So,
You're good.
But, you can say, if you can learn to hit those wedge shots, you can do anything, right? And I would beat everybody. Oh, man, I can make it low, I can make it high. So learning that whole bottom of the swing with that hand is just it's not a full swing in a mini version. That's my thing. Like, to me, it's like, this is where you get creative. You can do all these things. Whether you want to open, close, high, low, you know, release, non-release, whatever you want to do. But that's where you get cool with the ball flight.
Yeah, for sure. But I think the sequence is very close. Okay, if you measured it, there's somebody out there that may disagree, but the sequence is very close.
Okay.
Because the way, if you're asking me the question, like what do I think?
Right.
I think that if the delivery is such where the forearm, the forearm supinates, where the sweet spot of the club gets behind the hand path,
Yep.
which is what we want. Shallow, whatever you want to
Shallow,
call
yeah,
that.
sure would, yeah.
Yeah. Where you can use the bounce.
Yep.
Then the pivot definitely leads the train.
Sure.
Okay, so
Right.
it's lead hip, lead lat, chest, whatever. So you can't. The reason I say that is like you can't like not move the body
No.
and then throw the hands at it
No,
because
no.
then it breaks down, right? So I think
Correct.
you're probably not saying that, but that's what happens. So in the case of my son,
Yeah.
you want to know the story
Yeah.
Because
I'd
everybody
love to because this is awesome.
everybody asks that.
I mean-
that's the question I get now that more than like what about my teaching career is
Right.
like what's going on with your son?
Right.
He's had shipping problems for a while. I mean, it's not overnight. And he's been with James Ridyard. Obviously, I know the stuff back and forwards. Like, he has the information. We've both worked with him countless times. And he's gotten okay in stretches. It's not like he's sucked the whole time, but
Sure.
he would always
He's playing college golf. He's doing okay.
100%. Yeah, he's playing D1 golf.
Right.
But he's just kind of go back in these old habits. We don't talk too much about all the stuff he's doing, but everything that you wouldn't want to do in a chip shot, he would do. His head would drop, his club would go outside, his face would shut.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
stuff that would not be very conducive
Right.
to a good chip shot. So my favorite drill, and then James is one of his favorite drills, is hit shots one-handed, and not so much
Love
not so much to guide the student,
Right.
And this is where kind of the young instructors out there need to pay attention. Is like, don't be afraid to like give somebody a drill and let them suck for a minute.
Let him, yeah.
Okay, because they're not
Yeah.
going to be able to do it right
They're
away.
going to fucking chunk it, top
100%,
it, whatever. Yeah.
100%. So
Just keep doing it. You'll
but
get it.
but when they learn to do
Such
it,
a good point.
they start to learn to transition with the torso, the lead side, the right wrist, staying extended
Right.
longer, all this stuff that we want to do to deliver the bounce into the ball, which you
Right.
talked about, which is fantastic. So I gave him that drill. I'm like, look, and I'll have him actually put his left arm on his right bicep and hit shots. And so he was fine.
Is that to keep his right arm from moving away from his body?
No.
Instead of going
in the
long
downstroke,
like that?
in the downstroke.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I want to see, and again, this is tough to kind of translate over podcast, but in the backstroke with the chipping or pitching, whatever, I don't even
Right.
like to call it
Yeah,
anything,
yeah,
but
right.
it's
Yeah.
just a 30-yard shot, whatever.
Off speed.
Who
pitch.
knows, right?
Right.
So as the club goes back, the right elbow will fold. Not
Yep.
that it's pinned to
It
your
doesn't
side,
have to be. No, yeah.
but I use the
Yeah, it's not
shirt-
going to be straight.
Correct.
Sorry.
I use the
bang the microphone.
That's
there
that's
really
right.
hard,
I use
yeah.
the shirt seam on the right side
Yeah.
for a right-handed golfer as a reference. I want to feel like I want them to keep their right elbow even with their right shirt seam, which basically
It's pivot.
causes them to pivot, right?
So
if,
good.
if they don't, then the right arm straightens. They start solving the problem of hitting the ground by straightening the right arm, and the radius changes and it gets really long. So that was the big thing we talked about for 4 years. Okay,
Right, yeah.
and he started doing it. I'm like, just do this drill for a long
do
time.
it.
So he calls me. This was last year, April. He got back into town. He's getting ready for his summer tournaments. He's playing in like the North Carolina Open or whatever.
Yeah.
Hit a long, big schedule. And he calls me, he goes, I got a question for you. He's usually with my son, he's been on the podcast, so I can tell him, I can talk about him. I'll tell him something, and usually it takes about a month,
Sure, yeah.
as you know.
You're wrong for a month.
Exactly.
And then it's like,
And it's
hey,
like,
Dad,
yeah,
like on the DL.
I figured something out that's like revolutionary.
I was thinking about this with my arm. Oh, yeah, I told you that. No, you didn't.
Exactly. So anyway, so he goes, yeah. So I was thinking about this. I'm hitting these right arm shots. It feels really, really good.
Yeah.
What do you think about me playing in competition with it? I'm like, dude, it's like the greatest drill in the world. I know you're really good at it. Let me come check it out. And then I'm not opposed to it. There's this kid on the Corn Ferry Tour. His name escapes me. If I would have done my,
Yeah, that's fine.
If I didn't know we were going to talk about it, I would have. But anyway, so my son, being the social butterfly that he
Yeah.
is, reaches out to this guy on DM and says, "Hey,
He's doing one-handed.
yeah, he's doing one-handed
Okay.
on the Corn Ferry." He's like, "What's up? What do you think about this?" So he gives him some really great. This guy's been amazing to Nick, and he gives him some ideas, and why he
cool.
likes it.
That's cool.
Well, yeah, isn't that cool?
That's giving back to
100%. It's
I
like
mean,
that's how
look,
close
man,
we are.
I'm not on the PGA Tour, but yeah, man, can I help you?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, so he gave him some great ideas. So he started doing it. He finishes third in the North Carolina Open,
right.
and the rest is history. Obviously, he has a great fall, finishes second, and then wins his first college event.
Yeah, wins it.
And I'm telling you, you've seen the videos. If you follow my Instagram or go follow Nick on TikTok, Nicholas Sutton.
Yeah.
I film him on his tournaments during his tournaments in college, and he's had some of the sickest up and down.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's unbelievable. So right now,
I remember seeing like the first one you put out, and you're like, look, like he's gonna do this. Like this is what's gonna happen. And I loved it because that's always my go-to drill. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever. But I'm like, man, it's a big difference being, and I always think I relate it to Bryson, right? Like, so you're Bryson DeChambeau. You're 17 years old and you come out with a one-length set of clubs, a Hogan cap, all this crazy setup. You shoot 85. Every kid in the planet is going, how are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Like, but you have to believe, like, if he chunked one, which was very possible with the one-hand thing.
100%.
He had to put his mind past that and go, okay, well, it was me. I'm good. And just keep that focus. But he knew that was a technique that was better for him than what he was doing.
Way better. Yeah. I had dinner with Sasha McKenzie at the Top 100 Summit. He was asking me about it. I'm like, look at this. And he's like, I just love the fact that you guys were like bold enough to like to do this. So that's a good point. So I mean, it goes back and forth. Like it's not always perfect. So he goes and wins. Like had an incredible fall. I mean, literally 2 shots that he hit during his win helped him to win. Like he got up and down on a ridiculous par 4. The kid, and he overtakes the kid. Yeah, gets it up and down on a par 5 for like 30 yards like this. And I mean, there was 50 people following us.
Yeah,
and they're all asking me like, "What the hell's going on?" I'm like, "Just relax." And he just wins by 5. But then this summer we go down to the South Beach International, huge deal.
Yep.
And he kind of struggled, right? He hit a couple bad ones, right? It's not foolproof, okay?
You're human.
Absolutely. So it's like, and we were joking. I'm like, yeah, it was super cool when you were shooting 67. It's not really cool when you're shooting 80.
Right.
So, but it's right for him at this point, and I think eventually he can go. And everybody's like asking me like, what's the cutoff? I mean, it's a decision. It's a shot decision. It's like 35 to 40 yards.
Sure.
If he has to hit a flop shot with some speed, he can do 2 hands. No problem. It's not like it's a yip like everybody.
No.
He used to say, I got the yips. You don't have the yips. You got a freaking technique problem.
You have,
Okay, and this is for everybody out there. You got a technique problem. If your technique's bad, then you're going to feel... The yip is like a popular term. It's not a freaking yip.
Right.
Now, I've seen yips. Like with putting. It's a neurological thing. This is not a yip. It's just he just had a deal. Right now, I'm telling you, he's going to stick with it for now. We've added some layers to it.
Okay.
To where he can
cool.
hit higher shots.
I think that's where you start going, hey, let's hit some shots.
He can hit he hits higher shots. It feels like cornhole to him, basically.
Ah, yeah,
that's what he says.
It.
He feels like it's cornhole.
Isn't that the basic wedge? Kinda. I mean, isn't that really it?
But I've learned as a coach to go, all right, I'm putting my sort of preferences aside because I don't like guys to stand open.
Okay.
The tendency is for him to cut across it.
Cut across, sure.
But I'm telling you, he's a really smart kid. Like, he's like, he turns his feet towards the target, puts the ball back a little bit, and actually does it. And I'm like,
hey, it works. So.
It works.
So anyway. let me interview the interviewer.
Here we go. I knew it was going to flip eventually.
So you're out there. Your son is about to win a collegiate event. What's going through your mind? I mean, you're nervous, I know.
Oh, my gosh.
You want to tell him this, but you're trusting, man, all those days of you and him just hanging on the range after work, just hitting shots and shit. Like, is there anything better? I mean, you could have won the national PNC. I don't think it would make you happier than watching your son.
No chance.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, people that sort of pay attention, like a lot of my friends or even members and people that have embraced Nick's career that sort of followed him, reached out to me afterwards
Yeah.
and said congrats. Like, and that was, I said top 5 best days of my life.
Yeah.
Okay, and hopefully he won't listen to this because he doesn't listen to anything else
No, that's all right.
put out anyways,
Hey,
which is
Nick.
great. But I can take you through like my emotions in the last, like really the last 9 holes, right?
Yeah, right.
Because he was, you know, was tied for lead going the last round. The kid he was tied with from UT Martin was a member of the club that played at the golf course. So that's why there was like
Also, a home course deal. So he's got the fans and the
people were out. It was great.
Right.
So there was 50 people out watching the whole group the whole day.
Right.
Which is great because Nick tends to perform better when he's like got a crowd. And so we turn, and both of them turn at 3 under. So they're 10 under for the tournament.
Solid start.
Right, yeah. So they're both playing well. And I'm like, great. So the 10th hole, he hits like a sort of a mediocre wedge shot, and 3 putts, which was kind of uncharacteristic.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm thinking in my brain, again, thinking from the dad's or coach's brain, like he's nervous. He goes, no, I just like I didn't hit it real solid or whatever, and he's like just kind of
it didn't mess him up.
Kind of brushed him off. I'm thinking I'm freaking out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're like, oh my god.
So I'm like, what's going on? So he's played perfectly till then, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So we get to 12. They both bogey 12. It was the hardest hole in the course. They just kind of both bogey 12. So again, he's 1 shot down.
Okay.
And his girlfriend was following with us.
Oh, now we hit the problem. So,
no.
Well, no, I mean, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, no, it's good for people to have girlfriends and golf tournaments and all that, but, you know.
No, she's a good one. So she played golf. No, trust me. But anyways, the reason I bring her up.
Following you here.
Yeah. The reason I bring her up is the fact that I didn't hear this part of it, but as he was going to the 13th tee after he made bogey and he's 1 shot back, he told her, "I'm not losing to this MFer today."
Bam.
Okay. So, which was not my son.
That's
what I'm talking about.
Legit.
Okay. So then he goes to the 13. I'll make this really quick. Goes to the 13. The kid hits the green for like 25 feet. Nick hits it long right, like dead. And me and Ari, his girlfriend, are going, this is like impossible up and down. Hits it like this, like 6 inches with his right hand.
Yeah.
Only.
Right hand only.
Right hand only. 3 putt. The other kid 3 putts. They're tied. So then he goes and birdies the next hole. The kid makes bogey, and then he makes 4 out of the last 5 holes. He birdies and misses by 5. So it's like that. It was like and this was the longest round in the history of golf. 6 hours and 20 minutes.
But, dude,
it was so. Here, I'll wrap it with this, and then we'll get back to the interview. So we're going down 17. The kid, I mean, he's already went like what he went birdie. So he's got a 3-shot lead. Hits it on the green on this 240-yard par 3. Walking down the cart path, and one of the parents, like when I'm watching golf, like I don't really want anybody to know who I am or like who I'm with or whatever. I'm just kind of like out. So
I'm just following.
Yeah. So one of the parents goes, "You're the dad of the kid that's winning." I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like started talking to me like, I don't want to be. I want to apologize, but I can't talk right now. I can't even breathe.
Right, yeah, right now, right.
It's like,
you need to.
Like, don't talk to me. He's like, I understand, blah, blah, blah. So we get up there, and his coach comes up and goes, the next hole is a par 5, so what are we going to do? He's got a 4-shot lead, or 4-shot lead, yeah, and he's got a par 5, and the tee shots are really tight. So
what are we going to do?
Yeah. So I'm like, well, if he says anything to you, then you can tell him to take driver out of his hand. If he doesn't say anything to you, let him go. He's driving it like on a string. He never looked at his coach once.
So he was
just piped it.
Yeah, he was on point.
Because I knew it was a tough tee shot for him. So after he hit the tee ball, I was like, he's good. So
he's good. Yeah.
Hits in the bunker, knocks it up like this, and he makes birdie on the last hole. But I was just like, dude, it was a moment.
Like there's 2 points. There's parent, there's coach, right? And you've been a parent his whole life, without a doubt. A coach, you've been his coach, but you've probably been his coach from the sideline as much as you have face on, right? I mean, I know with my son, I'm like, oh, do this, but then it's go, da. But then you put him with someone else. Hey, look, let them tell you. But to see that, man, it's better than you doing it, right?
It was the best.
It was the best.
It was the best.
Like,
I could not won the Masters.
Right.
And been more happy.
I mean,
than
was
the
it
kid
just
working.
because he had put his time I mean, he didn't have to do that. I mean,
Dude, it was amazing. I mean, like the last tournament of the fall, or I'm sorry, of the spring,
Yeah.
before that season, he had missed his first tournament because he had lost his game. Okay, we literally flew him in from Tech to work for me from 3 days to
Wow.
like try to qualify for the last tournament.
Yeah.
And couldn't do it. Lost his golf ball.
wow.
Okay, so it tells you, and I keep reminding him of that as well. Like, dude, don't get cocky.
Right.
Okay.
It's fickle.
Yeah, because he's leading the conference in scoring right now. He's
No
number
way.
one in the OVC.
Really?
I'm like, that means nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, it means
Gotta
nothing.
finish.
Remember when you couldn't find your golf ball? That's what means. Like, you got to make sure that you're doing the things that keep us going. So it just shows you how fickle the game is.
But, you know,
And I tell that story to everybody. Like,
When
my members are great. They're always
yeah.
asking about
Yeah,
Nick.
of course they are.
Yeah, they're like, hey, what's going on? You know,
But-
I'm like, look.
Look, you want it. It's your kid. You want it, right? Like, you want it so bad.
Oh my gosh.
And I want it. And if they want it, you want it more. Like, if they're like, I really want to do it. And that's just, I mean, the super cool thing is that was early on in his one-handed career,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
right?
first
Like,
year.
I mean,
Yeah. No, it's legit.
hey, I'm leading a tournament by 5. I'm going to chip this little tight flopper off one-handed.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to trust it.
So we go to he gets in the South Beach International this summer, right?
Yep.
Which is the biggest tournament in the country.
Yep.
And he lays an egg. We shoot 80 in the first round, and he's talking to one of the kids or his dad or whatever, and at one of his conference, like I think Chattanooga or whatever, and he's like, well, what about when he gets under pressure with like this one hand thing? He goes, well, I think he handled it pretty well. He beat everybody in your field by 5. Okay.
Well, there's a point.
Right. So it's like, it's not even that, right? It's so, but again, that's when we talked about like, dude, it's cool until you start shooting
But you know,
big numbers.
It's a trust thing, and
Yeah.
you know, we talked about.
It wasn't anything to do with that. There was his ball striking.
Well, you know, we're talking about with
Yeah.
Rania. I mean, that was a thing that he had me do, and you know, if that's a reliable way to do it, to put that dynamic loft the same every time. And,
Sure.
but you got to trust it. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't go out there and go, oh, well, I think this time I'm going to shove the fucking handle forward. And
Right.
no, good luck.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so cool. And, you know, for you, like, we're both parents, and what our kids do is just way more than, like, we could each sit here and have a master's trophy and go, you know what? Hey, my kid won the whatever. And that's bigger. right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah, no doubt.
it's a super cool thing.
Dude, he's way better than I ever was when I was a
No,
junior
that's just-
golfer and a college golfer. And,
But that's
but it's it's
But
a
you love it.
culmination of
Yeah.
it's a culmination of all the hard work we've put in, and it's crazy, and hopefully, you know, it's going to continue because we've got big dreams. But yeah, it was kind of it was insane. It was intense. I can tell you that. So what about programming at your club? Right? What are some of the things that are working at Long Cove? Like what's your long-term program look like?
right. So our clinics are amazing. I was never a massive clinic person. We had new to golf today. The clinics are big.
So lay out a week, like, you know what I'm saying, like how often
right,
you do
yeah.
them.
So we got
like what kind of frequency do you have?
not a lot of men's. Ladies new to golf on Tuesday. 2 different ladies on Thursday. 9-holers, 18-holers. Once a month we do a men's, and it'll be a specific thing like wedges, full swing, whatever. Mm-hmm. One of our biggest things has been dyno test your driver, right? Like, so, you know, I'm a hot rod guy, so you dyno test your car, right? And you see what your horsepower is. So we come in and it's $20, it's 15 minutes. You hit 5 or 10 shots on the radar, and we go, okay, look, either your launch or your spin or your smash is off, right? So here's your potential. If we can increase your launch, increase your smash, decrease your spin, here's what you can hit it. Well, how do you do that? Well, we can adjust the driver, right? We'll bring the loft down. We'll do this, blah, blah, blah. This is going to take a lesson. And when they see that potential, you know, like, I mean, let's take a person that has a 135 smash and their launch is 17, spins 45, whatever. Okay, you go, hey, look, we bring the spin down, bring the launch down, we get the smash up. Here's what your potential is. How do we do that? Well, there's an easy way, right? We're going to adjust your driver, and then we're going to do a lesson or a fitting or whatever.
Parlay that into some instruction.
But it's a joke. Dyno test.
The dyno test, yeah.
So my buddy took his hot rod in, right? And they do a dyno test to see what your potential horsepower is. Okay? Bring them in. It's 15 minutes, $20. They hit 5 or 6 shots on the flight scope. And we go, okay, look, here's where you are. Your launch is too high. Spins too low. So you optimize it, right? Okay, look, if we set your spin to here, we get your launch to here, and we can bring your smash factor to here, here's your potential of what you could hit it.
Right.
Well, most of that you can do by adjusting, right? Hey, we can adjust your driver. And then you go, maybe look, hey, you're hitting it off the toe a lot. That would be a lesson. Why don't you come out and let's work on that? Or, look, the shaft's kicking a lot here. We really need to check that out. Let's come out and do a fitting.
Yeah.
And it's been a really fun promotion for me.
So it got you a lot of lessons?
It has, yeah.
Like follow-up stuff?
So I set it up on Friday mornings. It's 2 hours, 15 minutes a person. They bring in $20 bill. They just throw it down and
okay.
5 shots, and we look at it. We go, look, here's what we need to do. We need to raise or lower launch, spin, smash factor. And they're going to come and get a lesson or a fitting or something because they realize, oh, my God, I could hit it 20 yards farther if I created this. And, look, I think that's the way with, I'm not saying that distance is the end-all be-all for people, right? I'm a wedge guy, so it's – but – if they can hit it farther, if they have that potential, and you can show them, hey, look, we can do this through a fitting.
Yeah.
Do it. They eat that up. Hey, look, come out. We'll change the settings on your driver, and it's so easy now. Man, give them something. And I give them just a little taster, a 15-minute, look, it's $20. You're going to see. Then you come out, and people who may never have taken a lesson, right? They'll do that. They'll go, I'll give you $20 to see. And you go, well, I can gain 25 yards. Mm-hmm. They're in. You've hooked them. You're a fisherman. You hook that thing and you're like, eh. And I'm not saying it's hooking a lesson, but it's like, look, here's your potential.
Right.
Right.
It's up to you whether you want to go down that rabbit hole.
Right. Like, look, you can
stay where you are.
You can hit 250, okay? So maybe that's a goal. I'm not talking about Kyle Berkshire, right? I'm talking about my member. You can hit 250. Yeah. Well, how? Well, you got to change the launch, got to get the spin right. We need to change a little bit with the swing. You're coming down a little steep and all this. We can do that. And it might take 2 lessons and a fitting. Okay, so come out, let's fix this a little bit so we're swinging up a little bit and we get the path better. And then let's put a better shaft in there and let's adjust the head and we get the spin down. And, but you can do that. Yeah. Instead of hitting it 210, let's hit it 250. So
I know you've done what I've done in the last 3 or 4 years is unlimited lessons.
Yes.
I don't know if you did it at Long Cove or not, but I know I've listened to a podcast or an interview that you talked about it.
I did.
That's been a game changer for me. Talk about how that's changed how you teach or how's it affected your students.
That's funny. So I think it was 2002 when I thought about it.
You did it, way before anybody else did it.
And you probably know Joe Hallett.
Mm-hmm.
So
very well, yep.
And Eric Alpenfels.
Yep.
Two close friends of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I called them both and I said, I'm thinking about doing this. And I'll never forget Joe going, it's the dumbest idea I've ever heard, but I think it'll work for you. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So at that time I was charging $100 an hour. Okay. And I said, $5,000 unlimited. If you take 1 lesson a week, you beat me out of $1,200. Take 1 lesson a week and a plane lesson, you beat me out of 3,600 or something. And I put the sign up and I went down on the range. And all of a sudden, like 3 or 4 people come up and they're like, is this a joke? Is this wrong?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. And I did it for a long time. My record is 70% got their money's worth. 30% paid probably $1,000 a lesson.
Sure.
But
it evens out kind of, right?
Yeah, it does.
Most of the time.
So maybe it was 2004, 2005. This guy came up and he goes, look, my best round is 110. I average 120. Can you help me shoot par? I said, yeah, we'll do it. What on
no, didn't bat an eye.
Like what, on a hole, you know? And I said, okay. And so
this was our practice guy, right?
Yeah.
Love it.
And came out, was 28, not athletic, and, bad swing, not good. And I said, look, so I came up with the practice routine. And I said, look, you got to make this many putts and do this. And I gave it to a couple tour players. They did it in 2 hours. He came back after 2 days. He's like, 6 hours, man. Yeah, awesome. I got to the second stage. I'm like, perfect. It works. Like, you have to make this many. And look, that practice routine is.
It was brutal.
It's not right. It's not what you need to do. Okay. It's too over the top. But at the time, it was just like, learn to score.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, it's people will look at it and go, oh, this is too hard and this is wrong. Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Golf is hard.
Right. It's a skill.
It's our job to push our students past their potential.
And look.
But half of them don't want to do that.
And it's
right?
a skill.
They think they want the shortcut.
And his goal was shoot par. His goal was not hit great shots.
It's just 30 shots on average.
And
more than that.
So I knew I had him. So like in April, he came in and he goes, pro, I had a chance to break 100 yesterday. And I hit my drive left, and it was in the pine straw, and I moved a pine cone, and my ball moved. So I took a penalty, and then I punched it out, blah, 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 and I made bogey. I shot 100. And I'm like, okay, like he's in. Like this.
That's a legit.
I mean, if I'm playing a casual round, I'm not going to.
No, that's legit right there. Yeah. And
let me tell you, from 99 to 72, he ran the table. I mean, on the mat, on the handicap stuff, like he owned it. He was winning match play by.
How long did it take him?
Well, he broke par in October.
That's amazing.
And his longest club was a 5-wood. He hit a low pull fade.
Yeah.
I mean,
knew what was going. Knew what was happening.
We didn't fix his golf swing. I mean, it was just, he came over the top. He kind of, hooded it, and it was a low fade. But, man, this guy could putt and chip because of that routine. I mean.
That's amazing.
He had a spot worn out on his Cameron putter. I mean, this guy from 10 to 12 feet was deadly. And once he broke par, the funny thing was he broke par and he quit golf.
What?
Yeah, he became a triathlete. He just needed a new challenge.
It's one of those, that's mentality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of those OCD.
Yeah, I need a challenge.
I've been there.
And here's my goal. And
that's crazy.
He's the most improved player in the country. And it was cool, man. It was just fun. I mean, it'd be 38 and snowing, and I'd be like, oh, shit, I got a lesson. Oh, we're going.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah.
So speaking of the players and doing that, so my best friend is an ultra marathoner. Okay, like a 100-mile race.
Sure.
And I will say this, and he may listen to this. He gets this. At 25, he was literally the biggest loser you can imagine. Like, think of the dead-end loser you know. Okay, he's working an hourly job. He's overweight, married, just that's it. He's done. And so I was about to have my first child, and I said, we're going to go on a mountain biking trip. I was a big mountain biker. So we're going to go to Moab, right? And we're going to just shred some mountain bikes. Well, that's September 13th, 2001. So September 11th happens. We're not going.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, we're going to go to North Carolina. He could ride maybe 100 yards before he had to stop. He just couldn't make it any farther. Out of breath. And so a year or two later, he's like, oh man, I got to get in shape. So he's like, I'm going to ride a mountain bike for 24 hours on my 30th birthday. And he did. So then he's like, I'm going to do an Ironman. Dude, what the fuck? So he does that. He's like, I don't like the swimming. So then he became an ultra marathoner, 100-mile race, right?
Do you know my background at all on that?
I know that you've run some marathons.
Yeah, okay.
That's all
going.
I know.
Yeah, keep
That's
going.
all I know.
Yeah.
So he said, I don't like biking because he got hit.
Yeah.
I don't like swimming. He's like, so I want to break the world record for most holes of golf played on foot in 24 hours. I said, all right, let's look at it. So I had Cobra make him a club, super lightweight club, 6-iron with the heel shave so he could hit all these shots. And we started looking, and we found a course in Iceland that's 6,000 yards, which is the minimum. Tees next to the greens, all this. Got a sponsor.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so we tried to break the 12-hour in Georgia, which was a bad idea because there's a clubhouse. You got to go from 18 to 1 and hills. He missed it by 4 holes. Okay, but we're like, okay, we're ready. We're there.
This guy's in ridiculous shape at this point, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, it's 24 rounds in 24 hours. So you got to average under 30 minutes per 9 for 24 hours. Mm-hmm. And we checked with Guinness. I wanted to tee up all the balls, right? I wanted to have them teed up because I thought the hard part is picking the ball up out of the cup, walking up and teeing it off, right? Like just have them leave it in the cup, run. They wouldn't let us do that. Well, then 2020 hit and, there was but he was close. He was there. And, it's funny because he only plays with 5 clubs now. And if we play, he went from an 85 shooter to like a 75 shooter because he just walks up and hits.
Yeah.
And he's used to having a 6-iron going, I got to open it or I got to close it or I got to do this.
He's a shot maker.
Right. Yeah. And it's not mental. It's external is what I like.
How much did you teach him?
I don't know. I mean,
like technique-wise, did you teach him some stuff? Or
yeah, I probably did.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's like, look, man, just you got to learn to hit it. I mean, you got to hit it. The hardest thing about golf is that when you hit an off-speed pitch, you're trying to hit a club that goes farther and make it stop. Right? I mean, in golf, we're the only sport that you hit a ball and you make it stop. Every other sport, you hit a ball, somebody else makes it stop, right? Like a catcher makes a pitch stop. In tennis, either the other person hits it or they miss it, right?
Yeah.
Like we make it stop. And I said, look, if you're going to use one club, you're going to have to learn how to make a 6-iron go 180 and make it go 12. Right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, we'll play, and then all of a sudden he'll be overshot going, I don't know if this... And I'm like, you're done. You're done. You're going to screw this one up. So just step up, look at it, and hit it.
Yeah.
And
that's funny. In college, I went to a small college, and we had a 9-hole golf course on campus, and that's where we qualified, and that's where we practiced. Anytime we'd have like a rain day, or it was kind of like a shitty day, we would always play one club.
Yeah, I love it.
I really believe that influenced a lot in the way that I can sort of hit shots. And I always pick a 6-iron.
Yeah.
So I could hit a hard hook off my tee. I could hit little soft cuts. I could chip with it. I could putt with it. Like it's such a great, and I do this with my juniors all the time. It's like learn how to use the tool
exactly
different ways, right?
And he had to. So when he chipped or putted with the 6-iron, he had to beat the ball where it was going to stop. Like he had to be there before it stopped.
Right.
I mean, seconds matter, know?
Yeah.
And
that's interesting.
No, I think that, and that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
Right? On a 9-hole course, after a while, you're just bored. Like, okay, let's play it all with the 6-iron or whatever, I mean. And that's external to me. That's like, okay, make the ball do this. And for my goal for students is get enough, get your fundamentals good enough that you're external, that you're worried about what the ball's doing, not what your golf swing's doing.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that may be right, it may be wrong.
No, I think intention is a big word that I use.
I love that.
Intention
yeah.
is like probably the most profound word.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Morris uses it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you listen to these guys, the performance coaches, I think function or form follows intention. Force follows intention. Everything follows intention.
I love
Commitment follows intention.
Yeah.
So I preach that into my players. So looking back to your career, right? So I know you say you don't have any regrets, but if you had to give your 25-year-old self
Yeah.
advice, right? And you're in the
Right.
golf business, what are you going to tell that young PGA student that wants to get better at teaching?
So it's funny, because I taught for the PGA for 15 years. And I went into that with a very specific mindset. And they had a blueprint, right? Like, you're going to read these slides, you're going to do this. Probably didn't follow that as well as I should have. But I looked at it as, you know what, there's 64 kids in the room. There's probably 5 or 6 that really want to teach and really want to hear. I mean, I remember me being there, right? I remember me being there going, give me the gold. Give me what it is. And so I tried to do that, and I tried to say, look, you're not following the trend, right? Like, okay, you can do all these swing things, but what makes a student better, right? Like, they hit it more solid, they score better. What's their intention? Do they really want to score better, or do they just want to hit it better, right? And I know you ask a lot about regrets. I remember I had a guy, and he came out, and we're hitting balls, and he's doing this, and I'm working on his grip, which I really don't do anymore, but, we're fixing this. And we're 45 minutes deep into the lesson. I'm getting ready to shove him on the ass and go to the next one. And he's like, so what do I do tomorrow? I'm like, well, what are you doing tomorrow? He's like, playing in the Oakmont Member Guest. I'm like, man, I just fucked this guy's world, right? Like, I should have had him in the bathtub, like putting putts, trying to stop him before the drain, right? Like, that would have been the optimum thing, but I'm changing his grip. And,
So you didn't ask him the goal?
No,
before.
I didn't ask him the goal. And so after that, I was like, all right, let's find out why, right?
The why is a big
And,
question.
what do they want? And my big light bulb moment was I had a guy come out and, new student. I'm like, so what's going on, man? Like, why are you here? And this still kind of wrecks me a little bit. He's like, so my 14-year-old daughter was killed in a car wreck yesterday. She was hit by a car. He's like, I booked this just to get away for an hour, just to lose my mind. Man, if I hadn't asked him, so I had 2 juniors on the back tee at the time. If I hadn't asked him, we would just sit back there and hit balls, and I would have worked on whatever. And I was like, man, okay. So we went on the course. Hey, let's splash some balls in the lake. Let's skip them, whatever. Oh, hey, let's see how close we can get this putt. He didn't give a shit if his golf game got better or worse. He wanted 1 hour of thinking about something else. And there's 2 kids, his daughter's age, on the range next to him. And I pulled him away from that. And to me, that might be the biggest success I ever did.
So what did you do? What was your mindset in that point going, what am I going to do?
We went on the course, and I just started playing games. Hey, let's see how close. Hey, let's skip a ball here. You think you can skip this? Let's see who can make a big splash. Do you want to? Let's putt this up the, and he was very thankful. It was a success, but if I didn't ask, right? Yeah. I mean, just another student. You go, oh, here's Bill Smith at 11. Yeah, we're gonna work on it. But to me, that was kind of the thing where it hit me like, you don't know why they're here.
That's a massive learning moment,
right? You don't know why they're here.
Zig Ziglar calls it. It's It's a cat kicking world.
Yeah.
You ever heard of that story?
Oh, dude, Zig is the
right?
Yeah.
So it's just
if any young students are out there, get on Zig.
Yeah,
that's gold.
One of my mentors from afar. That you don't know what's happened to that player during the course of the day or during the course of the week that's led them to whatever mindset that they have, and it's up to us to figure that out.
I mean,
because you don't know. Like
they could have had a bad day at home.
Yeah.
They could have had a bad day at work. And that initial interview, it sets it all up.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't asked this guy, and he's sitting there hitting 7-irons, I'd be like, okay, that looks pretty good. Your face a little open and we need to work on that. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And that truly rocked my world. Like, he was like, here's why I am here.
Yeah.
And okay, well, then we're going to go rogue, right? This is why it's different than a 15-year-old coming in going, oh, yeah, I want to play college, right? So that was an eye-opener for me.
No doubt. All right. Any other topics you want to talk about, or?
Dude, are you fucking kidding me? I got like 12 hours of notes here.
Well, let's go. You can flip it.
No, here's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay. For young coaches, this is what this is for, right?
Yeah.
One, this is their leisure time, right? They're choosing to spend their money with you. They could do something else.
Talking about the students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could do something else. They could go bowling. They could go drinking. They could do whatever. They've chosen you and said, I would like you to help me with my golf game. So put it in. For a young teacher, put it in. Put it in there, man.
It's not like you have to give a lesson. You get to give a lesson.
You're allowed.
Yeah, there you go.
They've picked you and they've said, this is my leisure time for this hour. I want to pay you.
Love that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do, and again, doesn't make me special.
Yep.
After a lesson, I'll tell them, I'll thank the student. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for supporting me. Like if you're at a private club, I think that goes a long way. Like
it does.
Look, one thing that I learned a long time ago, especially working in a private club, you don't own the instruction.
No, you don't.
They can go wherever they want.
They can.
So thank them for coming in to see you.
And that is without a doubt their leisure time.
Yeah.
This is their expendable money.
100%.
This is not their electric bill that they're going, I have to pay this every month. I'm going to go pay this guy a good amount of money because I want my enjoyment on the golf course to be better.
Yep.
So make it work.
Yep.
Okay.
What else you got?
Let's see here. We talked about thinking outside the box. I made a YouTube video. PGA wanted to do those quick little videos, right?
Yeah.
Ad lib.
Yeah.
They, and everybody stands in front of their awards and goes, well, I think I booked lessons on the hour. And I said, give me 30 minutes. And I called my best friend, had him come out. It was one take on the whole
hilarious
club throwing thing. If you look in the background, you will actually see there's a lady behind who you can't see who was taking her first lesson and was just rolling balls. You'll see balls rolling. And when we wrapped it up, and it was seriously a one take ad lib, she came up and she's like, I want that lesson. But that was my friend who was the ultramarathon. That was great.
That was the guy?
Yeah, that was.
For those that don't know, like go Google or go YouTube it. He
how to react after a bad shot.
How to react after a bad shot. So he taught him how to throw a club and slam a club into the ground properly.
So, some of the other funny stories probably not that funny, but here's one thing I'd say. I put this in my notes. Like, everybody loves Tiger. People love Phil, but you don't see a junior that goes, I want to swing like Phil. But Phil's played pain-free for 40 years. Tiger has had so many. What's wrong with Phil's swing? He's been able to play. He's won so, just because it isn't pretty, it's effective. This guy has won a lot, right?
Yeah.
And he hasn't been hurt. I don't know. That's one of the notes I made.
Okay.
I don't know.
That could be a bigger discussion.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, we talked about, let's see. social media, I think that's a big thing now, and
Yeah, so talk a little bit about your, like, I didn't bring up this in my notes, that you brought a lot of joy to
did
us.
I?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think I
for
brought
us
it.
as pros, and then the people that followed you during COVID. When we were in lockdown. You started the lockdown, like you're playing
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. Yeah, so give a little light to that. I think it
Okay.
was really fantastic, really.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, look, here's how I look at that. That was just an embarrassment. That's how I see
It
it.
was not.
Okay, so
It was so cool.
so we locked down here, and I was locked down for a month.
Yeah, I was locked down for 6 weeks.
Right.
And dude, your videos like made me laugh
That's
every
funny.
day.
Well, good. And then you know what? Success. I mean, I would come in here, right where we're sitting, right? I had a camera over there, and I'd just wing it, right? I mean, just completely wing it. I'd talk, and people are like, I don't even care what you play. I like that you talk, and hello, friends. And somehow I started saluting, and people thought that was cool. And really, it was just, I mean, I was at home alone. I'm used to standing and talking to people, 10 different people for 10, 12 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm home, and my wife was still working, so she didn't quarantine. So I'm by myself. Like,
So it was more therapy for you,
it was therapy. Like,
right?
And
But you brought a lot of happiness and I think joy to a lot of people.
I mean, that's cool if I did.
Yeah.
To me, it was just like, man, this will be fun, do this. And, look, nothing was planned.
How did you come up with the idea? Like you just started it and like people started commenting?
I don't even know that people commented. I think I just started and I was like, fuck it, man, I'll keep doing this, and Christy'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm fucking recording this, so like, I mean, I just sit here with the camera and it was sitting there on a tripod and I'd just start playing and I am going to play this song, and then it was kind of funny because it became like Van Halen Day.
Yeah.
It'd be like, this is Van Halen Tuesday.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's long before Eddie died. It was just,
Yeah.
to me, it was just, this is me. Look, I don't care. I mean, look, I don't have a filter. So, and there's a lot of members of Long Cove who follow me on Facebook. So it's not like I was hiding who I am. I mean, man, look, this is just, I'm going to have some fun and, I want to laugh.
That's awesome.
I want to have some fun. And that was a good time. And, I got so many comments from people like, then it became a request line. Oh, play this, do this. And, hey, look, I mean, I think everybody was kind of in a time where they needed a little something.
Absolutely.
But there was no intention. There was no do this. Now, don't get me wrong. Through that time, I was like, oh, man, my guitar sucked. I need to get a new amp. Or, you know what I need to do is a new guitar. And so, so last year, I wanted to get the Frankenstrat, right, which is Eddie's guitar. And that was a big deal. And I kept telling Christy, okay, look, I want to buy this, Now, granted, it's been a rough year. I was off for a month. I mean, it wasn't like the most successful fucking financial year, right?
How much does that cost, by the way?
It's not cheap.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Let's not talk about
I understand.
price anything here
all right.
or how many I have.
I'm sitting here looking at like 25 guitars and then not to everything.
There's one person that knows how many I have, and I'm not telling. My son came in here the other day. He's like, you got like 30 guitars. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what's in there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just ones that I can see.
So, but they'd released the Frankenstrat, and I'm like, look, I want this. And she's like, only if you win your fantasy league.
Okay.
And I'm like,
okay,
man, that's a fucking tall order, right? Okay, so
you're relying on a lot of NFL players.
Right. So we get to the championship game, and I mean, you want to talk about somebody sweating?
And you made it.
So I'm in the championship game.
Oh my god!
And I'm sweating. Like, what if I don't win? Like, can I talk her into it? Or do I just do what I normally do and just buy it and she doesn't know? I mean, so I win by 1.4 points.
Oh my!
Like in the and if you fall fantasy, here's the situation. I had Josh Allen. He had the Bills defense. Josh Allen got pulled in the third quarter, so he's not scoring anymore. He has the Bills a soft lob interception, I lose. Like,
Yeah.
and then I have to wait for stat corrections. So finally I get it. I'm like, all right, so now you can't find them. They're obsolete in the world, so I'm searching. But, it's a great deal. It's great.
Good for you.
It's a great situation. I still have the trophy, even though I was dead last
see
this year.
that.
I got to take that back, to
I see
Atlanta.
that. Yeah.
But, to me, that was, it's not something you're ever going to sit out and play live. But that's Eddie, man.
Yeah.
That's
It
drive-by
means a
shit.
lot to you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. Do you want to hear a funny Vokey story?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
So, my boss in Birmingham was best friends with Bob Vokey. And he hired him at Founders Club when Founders Club was a thing. It's pre-Titleist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're at the PGA show, and I'm just, oh, man, Vokey, yeah. So we go out to a bar, and we're standing at a bar, and they're playing a game. And so since I went to military school in Indiana, I'm a little bit of a closet IU fan, right, for basketball.
Sure.
And IU's playing Penn State. So there's a singer, cricketer. Have you ever been to cricketer?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so the singer's playing. He's like a comedian, singer. And he'd stop, and he just pointed us. And he pointed us, and I was just like, IU's playing Penn State. And I'm like, fuck Penn State. So he'd strum, and then he'd stop, and then he'd point, and the whole crowd would go, fuck Penn State. Okay? So next day, we're walking around the show. We walk into Titleist, and my boss, Jim, I'm like, oh, Bob, Mr. Vokey, how you doing? He's like, what? He's like, fuck Penn State. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I was standing next to you last night, handing you beers all night. I'm like, oh, my God. So I'm just so embarrassed, right? I'm so embarrassed. So I get a wedge in the mail. It's a prototype. It's the prototype M grind, which is still the greatest wedge that I own. It's the best. And that and every other wedge he ever sent me, which is probably 30, just stamped FPS. Fucking state. I mean,
That's classic.
that was what he did. And I have nothing against Penn State. Sorry for you, Nittany Lions, but it was
classic.
It was Vokey.
All right. So all good things have to come to an end.
Yep.
No, this has been incredible, man. I really appreciate your time. and
I'm glad you came.
having me into your home, and our friendship
No,
is
the
gonna,
big thing
is
is
going to
that,
grow, bro.
this is really not anything that anybody's going to learn anything from. I mean, like, they're going to listen to it and be like, who is this fucking loser? And, okay, whatever. And that's great. And I'm sorry to bring your ratings down, because I know that the podcast will go down after this. So I'm sorry.
I don't agree. agree.
Look,
So-
I'm proof that a kid from a nowhere town could at least, I don't know, I made a living, maybe, right? Kind of. But I know we have one more question, right?
Yeah. So what would be the message that you would get to billions of people and put it on a billboard, metaphorically speaking?
Okay, so truly, I have thought about this a lot.
Can't wait to hear your answer.
listen to all your podcasts, and it was always going to be a Van Halen thing. It was going to be like, there's the Van Halen, Van Hagar, blah, blah, blah. You need to listen to Eddie and Fair Warning. But here's what it is. And so when I was in 4th grade, I had a teacher, Linda Brisden, and she came in and she said, if you had $1 million, what would you do? Now, at that point, $1 million, you're set. You're done for life. And, I had buddies that go, man, I'd go fishing and do that. And I'd go do this, or I'd go farm, or I'd go hunt, or, whatever. And I thought, okay, what would you do if you didn't have, basically it's saying, at this point in time, what would you do if you didn't have to work, right?
Right.
And my belief or my thought on that is, you find what you love, and then in the words of the immortal Stevie Ray Vaughan, you floor it. Okay? So, like, if you love helping people, you love teaching golf, do it, but you fucking floor it. Get in there and
Yes.
you do it. right?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't half-ass it.
Right. I mean, if you want to farm, fucking kick ass.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yes.
And so that's it. That find what you love and floor it.
Dude, you're the absolute
that's all
greatest. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, man.
This has been incredible. Like, dude, I'm telling you,
we've gone through
that might be the greatest Billboard answer I've ever heard.
Dude, the Van Halen one would be better.
So tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and say thank you before we wrap.
Hit me up. It's Golf Doctor 1, GOLFD as in David, R as in Robert, the numeral 1 at mac.com.
You're the best, man. Thank you.
Love it.